little subtle variations and changes and ways to do it differently. And you bump your thumb 2 millimeters to the right, and that's the difference between succeeding and falling.
It just seems like such a gut wrencher to fall like that. I haven't experienced it. I've done a lot of crazy stuff, but when I see that in video, I'm like, oh my gosh, if that happens a lot, every time you're thinking, I hope that anchor holds this time.
Yeah, but it's a conditioned situation, right? Where the more you expose yourself to any source of fear, the less of an impact it's going to have. Now, that doesn't mean you're immune to it, but when I walk to the edge of a cliff now, my stomach doesn't drop. When I was in high school, it did for sure.
Yeah.
But now my job is to take a $50,000 cinema camera on the side of a cliff and not only rappel down, but to be able to operate that camera in a creative way, like a really creative way, keep it stable, get the shot, make sure it's in focus, communicate with the climber. I've got an earpiece in, I'm talking to the people on the top of the cliff. I mean, there's so much going on. And so it's just, basic exposure therapy 101. The more you expose yourself to any source of fear, the less its impact is going to be. It's the same as asking out a girl on the date, or asking for a raise. I mean, the answer is no until you ask. And you got to put yourself in that situation where you're increasing the level of stress just a little bit at a time, and eventually you become inoculated.
So you're a professional photographer, you're doing your thing, and you get a call from National Geographic to come climb Mount Everest, or how did that go down? Because I've been so enamored with that mountain, let alone somebody that's gone up to shoot it professionally with camera.
Dude, no, I get a voicemail. I woke up in Truckee, California on a Sunday, and I get a voicemail. It's just my friend who says, "Hey, Bardon, it's Corey," and this is Corey Richards. He's a professional photographer for National Geographic. Mm-hmm. It's like, "Hey, Bardon, it's Corey. Just seeing if you want to go to Everest in a couple months. Give me a shout." Beep. I'm like, "What, dude?" So I call him back, and he fills me in, and he is going to go attempt this new route on the west ridge of Mount Everest that was previously climbed by a couple Americans, but years and years and years ago. He and Conrad Anker are going to go try to repeat this route in an alpine style, meaning in one single push from the high camp without oxygen. And he wanted me to work as the cinematographer and help support his photography in the expedition. And so I had a short window, 3 months to train, which is not a lot for that mountain. And it was a combination of being prepared, meaning I'd worked my ass off for little to no money, negative money at times, to get my photography and my cinematography to the point that phone call could even happen, mm-hmm. as well as my climbing ability. I was working at night as a bartender. I was working at one point three jobs at the same time and shooting photos, working as a professional mountain guide in the summer, honing my skills climbing in the spring and the fall. And so there was a whole culmination of right time, right place, and actually being prepared to say yes to that. And without looking at the dangers of the mountain, without, sort of breaking apart a lot of the moving pieces, I said, that I wanted to go. And I was, 26, 27, I guess, and was in a position where I didn't have kids or a family. And, of course, I have a brother, sister, mom, and dad, but I felt like I was physically able and professionally in a position to say yes to that. And so I trained in the Sierra Nevada mountains for 90 days and went over, and we had a wild expedition on the tallest mountain on earth.
What is, in brief, what does training look like for a mountain like that in such a short period of time? Because I know when I climbed Rainier, and I know how hard I trained for that. It felt like it must have been 6 months just to be ready to go do that successfully.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was you want a strong cardiovascular base, and so the only way to do that is to do a lot of long, slow, sub-max threshold events. So that's ski touring, that's running, but not like hill sprints to the point that you're hitting your aerobic threshold, but just long grinders, like 4-hour grinders with water bottles in your backpack that are full for extra weight, and then going home, eating 1,000 calories, digesting for an hour or two, and then going to the gym and doing strength work as well. And as I got closer to the trip, I started being more and more intentional about what I was putting into my body, in terms of food and alcohol and rest, and really preparing myself to take on some of the viruses as well. And I wanted a strong immune system, and even that wasn't enough. Everybody got sick on that trip. It was a super long trip, 85 days. I lost 25 pounds. Somebody got evacuated, one of our team members got evacuated. One almost died on the mountain. Multiple people did die on the mountain. It's chaos for sure up there. And there are many beautiful elements to it. But it was also really full on, really taxing, physically and mentally.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, not to put you on the spot, but would you do it again?
I currently would not do it again. I went back to climb another mountain called Ama de Blanc, which is another huge, beautiful mountain over 20,000 feet. And that was a great experience, very different experience. It was a shorter trip, but I have turned down the opportunity to go back 5 times now.
Wow.
And I've found other things to fulfill me in ways that, for me personally, and it's not for everyone, for me, are more rewarding right now at this stage in my life, and new adventures and new creative outlets that I don't feel the need to put myself at that level of danger and risk, to prove something either to myself or to others. It's just not, I don't need to do that again for me. No.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that I did it, like, for sure. And I took away so many lessons, and I've got some epic friendships with, amazing people. Corey Richards and Conrad Anker were sort of the two ringleaders. And then there were 6 or 7 other athletes from the North Face there: Chris Erickson, Hillary O'Neill, Emily Harrington, Sam Elias, just great people. And I think we've got, lifelong friendships as a result, but I'm not chomping to go back right now. No, I've got too much else on my plate.
You've lived a life so far as an extreme sport athlete, between your climbing and the jobs that you've taken as a photographer. I alluded to at the beginning of the show your next project. And can you tell us what that is? Because I'm excited for you, and I don't want to throw it out there. I want you to do it. But I love how you're making a transition from one career in what most would say is a complete opposite career, but I'm thinking it's equally as rewarding.
Yeah, I guess one word, just tequila. Tequila. So not last year, 2 years ago, I injured my back, and I was supposed to go to Alaska, and then I was supposed to go to Canada on an expedition. And I realized that my life and my livelihood is predicated on my physical well-being and my sort of availability at a moment's notice to push it with high-end world-class athletes, and that had a lifespan. And my risk tolerance was also sort of changing, and I noticed that I didn't want to be in situations where you fall, you die every time you go get your paycheck.
Yeah.
I know a lot of soldiers, a lot of blue collar folks are also in that mode of being in, jobs that not only are physically demanding, but also super dangerous. And I think it's, at least for me, it was a natural progression to eventually evolve out of that a little bit. And so I injured my back, and during my healing process, in an effort to speed that up, I was really eating super clean. I eliminated all alcohol and was just being real intentional about what I was putting into my body, doing physical therapy, et cetera, et cetera. And then about 6 months later, I went to visit a friend of mine in California who was 37. He got cancer. And he only had a couple weeks to live, and we sat and we ended up having a beer. I hadn't had any beers. And we sat and we had a beer and we talked shit on the beach and just discussing life. And he was talking about mortality. It was wild. And then I was just super acutely aware of how everything was making me feel at the time. And so, I had a couple beers and, all right, it really affected my sleep and it sort of made me feel a little puffy, a little bloated. And then a week or two later, I had a couple glasses of wine and sort of gave me a headache. I enjoyed it at the time, but I sort of woke up with like a headache. And then I found tequila, just 100% agave spirits, super, super clean, high quality tequila. And man, it just was like, it was totally different. It was a cleaner feeling during, and I slept like a baby through the night. And I woke up in the morning like, why have I not known about this?
Yeah, sure.
And so I sort of,
Yes, I know, and many of my friends know. We spread that love for
exactly.
10 years.
And so I sort of just went down the rabbit hole. I was like, well, why is this happening? And so, there's a number of like physiological reasons why, right? Like it's gluten-free, it's low in calories, it's a fructose, not a starch or a sucrose. And so your liver actually treats it a little bit differently. And I was like, man, nobody in my community is like sharing this super high quality stuff. Nobody in my community is like rallying around the campfire with something that we feel is a part of our community's sort of go-to spirit. And I want to launch a business that can scale and work with a team of people, have fun doing so, make a good living, give back to those who help produce it, and scale this thing. Like, let's do this. Let's create a tequila company. And so it was literally like that light switch moment, similar to when I decided to get into photography, where I made a decision that I believed that I could make it work. And from there, so many doors opened up.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Well, it sounds like an exciting project. And also, as I mentioned, I had the opportunity to spend a few days with you in Mexico. And what I really appreciate about you, Andy, is that you are, you're disciplined, you're focused, you put passion into everything you do, and watching you from afar, how you just go after things is impressive, including how you go after your snacks in the Delta Lounge. It just, everything you do is with purpose and mission. I noticed on the few days I was with you. It's like, there he goes. He's getting some soup in the Delta Lounge.
Yeah, well, no, we had a great trip, and I was thankful. I've met a number of different folks in the industry, and I've really sort of settled into the idea of transparency and honesty. And if I'm going to do this, I want to do it the right way. And to me, that means the cleanest spirit available, that is ethically sourced in a sustainable way, working with a family, a small batch operation that has, decades, generations of experience, and they are firmly rooted, with those ethics as well. And so I feel like I found that in an amazing family, and I can't wait to share the product, man. It's just incredible product. And for me, it's again, like, photography, I was there as we transitioned from film to digital. What was that, 2006, 7, 8, somewhere around there. And my life has been really consumed with the digital space and content and all this stuff that is now required to sort of be in business. And it's just refreshing to sit with friends and connect at dinner or around a fire or on a tailgate or wherever it may be, a bar in Mexico for that matter, and to laugh and to be present and to put these devices down and to connect and to look each other in the eyes. I mean, those are the things I remember. Like I said, the side of El Cap, sitting there in a thunderstorm, laughing with my friend, it's the human connection. It's the process and the people along the way. Those are the best memories. And so it's been really refreshing to have something that isn't digital. It's not like a